因为我们最近队友状态不是很理想，然后我们的问题很多方面都有，不管是英雄的适应方面，还是沟通方面，还是配合方面，都出现了很大的问题。这些问题需要我们以后一个一个慢慢调整过来，我相信我们很快就能克服的。接下来我们就要打 RNG 了，因为是一组对抗，所以只有这一次机会可以碰到他们。然后希望打他们的时候，我们两队都可以以最好的状态来对战这一局。
And it's not helping see that they have multiple roster spots, especially one coming in right before the RNG match. He's still hopeful that the form for Team W will return. He's hoping that it will be for this match, but unfortunately for them, it hasn't been in game number 1.
I'm gonna call it. She kind of sounded like the series was over before it even began. You know, filming that SO or giving that interview and giving a response like that. You know, hopefully the next time these teams two face, we'll be in our best possible condition. Like, he kind of signed his own death.
Definitely sound defeated. I think the key word there was the best form possible. So almost like acknowledgement that they're not going to be near their best form, and rightly so, of course, right? Two different members not playing on the right team, the main roster missing for them, and even drafting as poorly as they did. They're by no means near to the best that we've ever seen from Team WE, a former semi-finalist team, right? And at least their expectations, if nothing else, are realistic.
Whereas when we look across the rift to their opponents, RNG, yes, they got the perfect game against Team W in game number 1, but far from their best form at the moment. So it's going to be curious to see how this roster of Tatai, Kasa, and Uzi, who have stepped in today, are going to work together in the future.
And what's cool about RNG is that they haven't made any substitutions coming into the second game. We've seen a limited sample size of Zatai, but from what we have seen, he is significantly better than Letme, who he has replaced for the first part of the split, who was just really underperforming. We have higher expectations for Letme. He may come back, but Zatai has been performing very well so far, and Kasa comes back in. Looks so good so far. That was not what I wanted to say.
It's the hunger of both Karsa and Zatai to take the starting positions. We always knew that Amalek, and Karsa, you know, both of them great junglers, but it was probably going to be one person who would hold that starting position when it came to crunch time, because neither of these guys want to be second best or riding that bench. Zatai is in a very similar spot.
That goes through all of the role of RNG, actually, right? They've said it, MLXG even said it in interviews for the jungle role. They want to be the best, and they want to use the other person in that role as competition to improve and better themselves.
Whereas that's a face you might see a little bit familiar. Zero, the support for Team WE. He'll be subbing in for game number 2.
Yeah, have RNG really faced Team WE's final form if it doesn't have Zero? I mean, who knows Uzi better than Zero, his former lane partner of 2014? I remember when Uzi left Zero to go join OMG for 2015, the joke was that Uzi hit up Zero, he's like, yo, you want a duo? And Zero's response is, no, I have new duo partner now.
Ooh, and his new duo partner coming into this series is going to be Mystic, the man that we hyped up, saying that these two have a long-standing rivalry. Who better to team up with than to take down Uzi than his rival?
It's the SKT Slayer, Zero, the man who doesn't exist, and the one time he shows up, he just
Big
beats
guns.
SKT at an international event. So clearly still plays League of Legends, definitely still a very good player. And now they have the sleepy Korean bottom lane reunited.
Yeah, that's the thing. Zero has been in the back, kind of being the mastermind, helping out with the strategy for Team WE. So while we haven't seen him much in stage, unless he does come out to be their secret weapon, he has certainly been very active with the team and should be in good form tonight.
And I'm actually really curious to see if that's going to affect Magic in any way, because Magic and Celestial were the ones that are meant to be playing together now. They brought in Zero, and Magic already didn't have a good performing game in game number 1. Hopefully that experience with Zero is able to help him out slightly.
I mean, Big Boy Pants will probably come on for Zero and have to put in some serious carry work, otherwise it may not look good regardless.
I mean, hopefully bottom lane just doesn't collapse, because unfortunately, like, Magic didn't do anything, but if, like, top's on fire, mid's on fire, bot's on fire, like, what's he gonna do?
Well, if game 1 was anything to take note from, RNG are ready to set things on fire. So let's send it over to our casters for game 2.
Welcome back, and we are so hyped to be getting into this next one. Zero coming in, returning into the bottom lane, the SKT Slayer. You already saw Mystic on your screen. He was actually laughing and smiling a little bit, whereas in game number 1, it was serious mode. And that clearly didn't work.
Yeah, and Zero really comes in whenever he wants in these big moments just to boost the team up a little bit. Like the analyst desk has been saying, he's part of the brains behind the team. So maybe the team's asking him to clean up his own drafting mess by coming in and sitting down in that losing matchup. The question I really have for WE is, why aren't they going back to the Caitlyn pick, which is a really weird thing for me. Like I've said, they have 100% win rate on that champion, and it's also a champion that it's very hard to lose lane with.
Well, now with WE on blue side in this game number 2, we could see that Caitlyn here very early on. No bans this time, Azir Sejuani and Tahm Kench from Ming in order to get a little bit more pressure onto Uzi. No quick devour to keep him safe. Whereas again, the Zoe Camille banned away from WE.
This is a very interesting ban in the Tahm Kench. What this tells me is that they want to focus on the bottom lane and try to take out Ming and Uzi, not let Uzi have that CS game he had in game 1. And if you think about Ming's champion pool, a lot of the things that he's really terrifying on is more about that Alistar. So this Tahm Kench ban is really signaling some aggression towards the bot lane.
Now we see that Galio banned away from Xie, something that he's practiced quite a bit and has put up some huge performances on. But it's a Ryze, first pick for WE. And now that Caitlyn, that was banned in the last game, is wide open.
I actually think that Xiaohu is kind of relieved to not have to play the Ryze. It's his most played champion so far. He's been very vocal about it. It's like, it's a good champion, but I want to stop playing it. Can you give me something else? And we can talk a little bit about the reasonings behind it so far. It's that with Let Me on the team, Ryze really gave him a chance to split push. And RNG going for a full engage comp. They're saying that, okay, you want to come and try to kill our bot lane? Then we have answers too. We're going to go in on you as well.
Yeah, you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Alistar locked in for Ming, and Karsa taking Skarner here. Oh dear.
Finally, the Caitlyn coming out. We've been waiting for this for so long. It's been WE's best champion, but really weird that they don't pick it up as often as they do. Not really any lane counters against this Caitlyn. She goes well into everything.
Now it's up to Uzi to lane against that 650 range. His potentially his only peer here in the LPL. And now we're looking for the next follow-up for Team WE. Gangplank locked in for 957. 3 very large priorities on Xie, 957, and Mystic.
Ezreal being picked up for Uzi. Now, Uzi is really, really known for his Ezreal picks. He picks it when it's off meta into conventionally bad matchups like he did last split against Tristana. And if you've seen this guy play lane, he almost never loses lane, even with Ezreal. It's just about his poke potential. He's so accurate with the Mystic shots that he's very willing to pick this champion into conventionally said bad matchups.
Well, now with the Jarvan banned away, we're going to have to see Magic bring out something new here as Vladimir stricken away from Zatai or Xiaohu in that mid or top lane. And goodness gracious, Karsa taking Skarner. Could be looking to scare Magic in this game too. Said, you think you were afraid of game number 1? Well, game 2 is when the fire really gets hot.
This is a really powerful champion that we've been seeing heating up all over all major regions. The only jungler to really take that Predator rune in the domination tree. And what's so scary about him is his level 6 ganks are incredibly terrifying, and also his jungle pressure. If he can get one of those spires with any of his lanes, then he can completely lock you out of one of the quadrants.
With that extra bonus that we saw, not to mention the control from RNG, just with their vision alone in game number 1, that creates a huge zone of control for them in this game too. Taliyah now banned away from Xiaohu, that Braum stricken away from Zero, so there's nothing for Mystic and Zero to do but take this harass here.
We do have to mention, though, RNG does not have a very strong bot lane. If WE and Zero manage to pick up the Janna, this lane is not going to go very well. And you also have to factor in that the Skarner is not really a early ganker. He can kind of... well, I wouldn't say like not an early ganker, but he does need boots to really facilitate his ganks. So you do have that timing window before the first rotation to really bully and set that lane up.
Nothing quite so tragic sprinting into a lane than realize the other person is just faster than you and simply turns around and walks away. Well, the person who won't have that problem is Zatai taking Sion for himself in the top lane, as Shen is going to be locked in here for WE going to Zero in the bottom lane.
I really like this pickup just because he can kind of split lane with Sion, and it really negates the global pressure coming in from the unstoppable, not unstoppable force, but from Sion's ultimate. and you can kind of match that pressure. Also very important for WE is that they get some pressure in the jungle. They really have to be fighting this Skarner for their own jungle control. Like we've said previously, if Skarner is able to set up camp and get those spires down, it's actually very difficult to remove him. And here we see one of Xiaohu's counter picks to the Ryze, going back to the Syndra.
Yeah.
Not a very strong pick in terms of the meta, but as a Ryze counter pick, we've seen both Rookie and Xiaohu go into this matchup.
Bit of a confident statement from Xiaohu saying, hey, I might be 11th in KDA, but that's just because I wasn't playing at full power. Now that he has Uzi back, now that he's got Karsa and Zatai, RNG are looking nigh unstoppable, at least after that first game that we've seen. Will WE be able to put a dent in this boulder that's beginning to roll, or will RNG roll over them here in this game too?
This is a really interesting composition because for WE, it's really about stopping the engage coming in from RNG. If you look at the engage tools, there's Sion, there's Skarner, there's Alistar. Those are a lot of things that can end the fights very quickly before the team fights even really begin. So it's going to be up to WE, going to be up to the Shen, which is, I'm sorry, actually a support pick to really negate those engages.
Lots of love for RNG in the crowd today. You can see that it is a packed house. All 500 seats are sold to witness the return of the crownless king. And not only that, but the return of RNG. This is the Royal Never Give Up that we were proud to send to Worlds just a few months ago, not the RNG of just a few weeks ago.
And I'm really curious if they think this is their kind of best set of lineups. They have 480 carries. They have 2 people in the top lane, 2 people in the junglers. They have a rotating roster. But so far, I think these 5-man together have looked like their best. Xiaohu really picking it up in the last series as well. He's had a bit of a rocky start, to say the least. Those Ryze mistakes in their last series costing them a bit of time. But so far, near perfect game against WE, and we hope that they can continue their strength.
You know, that is the question that we do have to pose. If you kill the Rift Herald but don't take the buff, does it still count? If a tree falls in the forest, listen to these fans.
That was a good save. That was a good segue.
The floor itself is shaking, Clement, as we're getting into this game 2 between WE and RNG. Already, Uzi steps forward and fires shot after shot. Mystic, cool as a cucumber, calm as ever, just sitting there and not allowing himself to be scared away. Already, Karsa has claimed the first Crystal Spire. Looks like Magic is denying the second, and Uzi looks to claim the third.
This does give you a bit of golden for Skarner, attack speed and magic regeneration. If he's fighting next to a Spire, it's almost impossible to really kill him one-on-one. I think the Rek'Sai is actually a very smart pickup because the sonar system can kind of detect those invades if Karsa chooses to go inside the enemy jungle.
And of course, the trade-off looks like WE get to control the Spires on the top half of the map. RNG get to control the Spires on the bottom, as it looks like bot side start to both of these junglers, which means laners are going to be coming in on equal footing, but Karsa has just been springboarded forwards.
A very fast jungle clear from Skarner. We can kind of see his pathing if he decides to go back early to get his boots and the Predator upgrade as soon as possible, or is he going to farm it out a little bit? There's a lot of tricks you can do with Skarner this way. And we do have to talk about the pick a little bit. He was patched up in 8.1, increasing his CC duration to, I believe, 1.5 seconds at the start. So very strong lane ganker.
You can see that Uzi, the most kills in LPL history, 1,865. He's only 135 away from getting 2,000. And in 4th place behind him, Zatai, also a legacy player, at 1,319. When the difference between 1st and 4th is 546, Clement, that's how you know. There's mastery, but as I say it, Uzi has to heal in flashes. He's caught by a level 2 rush from WE.
Great play there from the Shen, and this is what the Shens are known for. That, ooh, another fight here.
A bit of trading going on between Karsa and Magic. Luckily, knock-up prevents Karsa from getting in first, so they're able to bounce it back as Xie and Xiaohu trade it back in the mid lane.
Shen, a lot of kill potential early on. well, the fights are just continuing all over the place, but we can talk a little bit more about this pick now things have quieted down a little bit. The Shen pick, a lot of kill pressure onto enemy carries, pretty much single-handedly taken out ranged supports in the meta just because of that level 2 all-in with the Ignite here. And we have to mention the other big Shen player in the LPL is really that 5, and we see this, they play kind of the same way, going all in early.
Oh, look at that. Ultimate Hat and Celerity with Sorcery second for Karsa. He knows he's got one job, impale someone out of position, doing as much damage as possible. Here goes the recall for him. So not quite a boots rush. Decides to go for the clear and contest the jungle. But this time, this is a different WE who are showing up in game 2. I don't know if it's just Zero or perhaps how they've assessed their mistakes, but Magic is controlling the river on this top side of the map. He's getting a deep ward and even threatening a dive, though it looks like Zatai is able to hold his own.
The biggest difference really has been WE being willing to pick a winning bot lane matchup. How long have we waited for this to appear? Now, they do have very good fast push potential with his Caitlyn pick, and also in terms of the late game, it's so hard to deal with it if you're in a losing situation. She can set up traps really well, and on the flip side, defend very well.
Ooh, Karsa getting a ward behind the dragon as he manages to secure that Scuttle Crab. And like you said, that winning bottom lane, Mystic 6 CS ahead. Uzi somehow managing to keep himself in this lane despite the magnificent harass at the level 2 rush for Mystic and Zero.
And the timings we should really be aware about is Karsa's level 6. So the way he's he's done a full clear on his first wave, and then he's going to do a full clear again, which puts him at about level 6 when he hands off the blue buff. So there's a very real potential if WE continue to push up for a 4-man fight in that bot lane.
Not to mention there's already crowd control prepped and ready. Syndra has a stun. You've got Sion with a knock-up. If he gets level 6, he can even run in and prepare the target on his own as Zero steps forward, soaking the damage, but Ming just knocks him right back out. And with that harass, Uzi wins a trade. But look at this. Magic is on this side of the map. Should it have continued, he could have tried to get in there.
Very well played there from Uzi, sidestepping the taunt coming out from the Shen and winning the trade in the meantime. They do spot Magic coming down the river, so back out in time and not much real damage done.
Mystic using the Piltover Peacemaker, not aiming for the minions, aiming for Uzi. The complete mentality shift in skill shot usage alone. This is no longer just a game to these two players. This is a head-to-head. Mystic and Uzi going toe-to-toe.
And I like that Mystic has finally given up the first pick Kalista. It's really not suited him, and the win rates really do show that. 20% win rate on the Kalista.
Shadow Dash misses, Zero eats a stun, Uzi still stepping
Ignite
forward,
goes down.
and the Ignite. He gets another Mystic shot, but doesn't quite have enough damage to make that dive viable.
Yeah, still a large CS lead for the Caitlyn in this lane, however. Ming trying to threaten with another flash Q, I would assume.
Perhaps thinking about it, or even better, using that mentality to scare WE back and buy time for Uzi to keep catching CS. He's 15 minions down here in this bottom lane, a complete reversal of game 1. Magic is holding his own in the jungle, 45 to 41 CS. He's controlling the Scuttle Crabs, he's controlling the rivers, despite the fact that there is a Skarner in the game.
And here's that level 6 hand up we've been talking about. Karsa doing 2 full clears and then going into his blue buff. He should hit 6 off of either the Gromp or the blue buff here.
But take a look at this. WE know Zero is stepping into the river to watch this blue as it's being prepared. This is a cerebral WE. This is the WE that we wanted to see step forward.
Zero really showing up with that experience, reads the play coming out for RNG, and also very good timing on reading the backs from Xiaohu and the bot lane at the same time.
Yeah, just forcing Karsa to take a little bit more damage. Now he knows what's going on. He knows that he can continue to push in bottom, sees the Skarner retreat, sees the Syndra return towards her top side of the map. Cerebral play, keeping WE even in this matchup. And now we're just getting down to these champion versus champion and skill versus skill to see who opens up with the first advantage. Though it looks like Zatai seems to be making a case for himself in the top lane. 18 CS ahead, 8 minutes in.
Yeah, putting a lot of pressure down there. It's mainly been because Magic has has kind of showed himself a couple times in the bot lane and the river, has allowed Zatai to play a very heavy pushing game into the Gangplank. And the big question here is, when is that first Skarner ultimate going to be used? Because once he gets the Impale and then he follows up with the Fracture stun, that's 3 or almost 4 seconds of CC right there. He could really make a lot of action happen.
Whoa, Xie with the Realm Orb onto Karsa.
Why?
He's got his stopwatch ready. He's pulled forward. True Shot Barrage finds only 0. He flashes over, and they catch Xiaohu. He flashes
One
to
more
escape,
kill,
but dies. First blood, Xie.
So I actually didn't factor in the 2 globals coming out from WE. I thought that was kind of giving RNG what they wanted, but WE know better. They send the Shen in with the Gangplank ult layered on top of it and do manage to catch out Xiaohu.
And that is the trust fall that we're hoping to see out of WE. The players that create more than the sum of their parts. The absolute faith to rely on 957 and 0 to save him. And Xie doesn't even stop to smell the roses. He sprints to top lane to see if he can help return the favor for 957.
Really good fadeaway by Sion here, wasting a lot of time from Xie. However, WE able to take even more objectives on the bottom side of the map.
Ocean Dragon picked up in the meanwhile, knowing that the Skarner was backed away, knowing that Xiaohu was respawning, but here it goes again. Xie just dives in.
Yeah, and this really looked like RNG kind of wanted the fight. Like we talked about, it's really the power spike that Skarner has at this level 6, but 0 coming in, Gangplank coming in at the same time. Final Q does secure first blood.
And now 10 minutes in, taking stock of things. We're seeing a slight CS advantage for Mystic, slight CS advantage for Xie in the mid lane. 957 had a bit of a deficit, but WE are the ones who take the first play of the game, perhaps looking to put that Skarner on the back foot and keep RNG guessing as to who showed up today.
I think the main thing we have to point out about WE's early game this time around is that the pressure Magic is getting from his lanes, there's a lot of CC potential in the mid and also in the bot lane. So you can see, even though Xiaohu got the counter pick in Syndra, wasn't really able to push his lanes out at all, and that's really given a lot of river control to WE.
Ming sprinting around behind 0 with a
That
warding
was
shadow
ballsy.
dash. Yeah. He knew what he was getting into, just might not have liked it as much as he thought he did. But still, he's able to scare RNG back. Blue buff is passed over to Xie without issue. 0 is still going in. Flash knock up, and that's going to be the Impale pulling forward Mystic, plus Ignite, plus a heal. 90 caliber.
Another
the
auto attack will do it.
gets Uzi the kill. And 0 under the turret. Karsa does not stop. This guy has no
Still has
chill.
heal.
Flash gets him to safety, and he slows with the Shadow Blade as Ming has to retreat from Xie. A stun pins him
They do
against
have
the
the
wall.
blast cone.
Magic is almost ready, but doesn't get the knock-up, and Ming escapes with his life.
Also on the bottom lane, 0 is able to get away, but the Cannon Barrage comes in.
Oh, Uzi
Magic
is
full
very
health.
deep. He goes into the turret and goes down. That's going to be 957 getting the kill.
Now that was a bit unfortunate there. Really wanted the extra 50% assist gold on that kill, but still good for WE, picking up 300 gold for the Gangplank.
Now 17.5 to 17.3. It's still neck and neck in this game, though now we can see the composition that RNG were trying to pull off. The flash engage from Ming, Karsa pulling Mystic into the open arms of Uzi, but botched execution trades it right back over.
I do have to say, I think that was a bit of a mistake from WE. They thought the Cannon Barrage was already up already. That's why they went into the Tribe Rush. But come on, you've just seen 3 people right next to you. It's a Skarner and an Alistar. That was, I think it was a bit of a mistake. And if RNG played that completely perfectly, they probably wouldn't have even been punished for it.
Well, they'll certainly get an opportunity later in the game. As
Ooh,
Xiaohu
Shen coming
is
in as
being
well.
engaged upon. A knockback plus a knockup on the Magic.
3v3.
They're trying to target him. Xiaohu drops
Turns
himself
it
into
4v3.
stopwatch. Magic with the dive. He's able to get the kill, but doesn't escape with his own life. 1 for 1 so far. Mid for jungle as Zatai had teleported in. That means that 957 gets to continue farming top, but Ming shows himself thinking of making something happen as he shows up behind Xie.
Oh, and
That's
Karsa has the
headbutt to
ultimate
knock
now.
him back. Stopwatch doesn't get him far enough. 0 with the 1-2 Shadow Dash buys time, blocks auto attacks. True Shot Barrage dodged as the Impale pulls him back in, and Xie finally will go down.
What a cheeky little play from Ming, hiding in the brush and waiting for Xie to walk up himself. They definitely understood the mentality of Xie, going for that greed and wanting to push the lane in. They punish him so hard for it.
Now 3-3 in kills, absolutely equalized as Mystic and Uzi are still just farming in the bottom lane. But this is a bloodthirsty match. This is the match of the week, I think, that we wanted. Not that game one, though certainly that was an exciting game.
I like this playset from WE, able to go on the aggressive with the Shen support, making plays for themselves. But unfortunately, they could execute things a bit cleaner.
Stun denied by Zero. Magic is there. That's the headbutt knock up, and Rek'Sai over the wall, plus the Shadow Dash. Unbreakable Will prevents some damage, but Ming is still going to take some harass on his way out.
A lot of potential support coming from RNG. Syndra is already leaving lane, so WE decide to call that off. So far, this extended laning phase has been working very well for WE. They are the team that does kind of want to scale with the Caitlyn. And also with the Ocean Drake, this laning phase being extended should give them a lot more power when they want to go into the team fights.
Just that bit more sustained, just that bit more laning presence as blue buff being passed over to Xiaohu means that WE are allowed to step forward and claim vision over the river as Ocean Dragon looks to be the next one to spawn. WE looking to make it 2, RNG looking to equalize. Teleport is not available for Zatai.
And if you look at the towers, none of them have really been damaged on WE's side. For RNG's composition to work, they really need space to group up. This is a catch and kill type of composition. They don't really work well when they're all segued into their own lanes.
Now we can see RNG stepping back up, fighting over this vision tooth and nail. They're not going to let the map go dark without a fight. As Xiaohu with that blue buff happily controlling his lane, keeping Xie as locked down as possible, but Static Shiv just picked up for Mystic. The Abyssal Mask and Merc Treads for Xie means that he's pretty healthy as well, and Triforce completed for 957. WE starting to scale up, perhaps getting a bit more itchy for those mid-game fights.
And Xiaohu's really having a bad game so far. We talk about the Syndra, we talk about how she has to get something going early on. She is that kind of burst mage assassin. Now, without any kills on her belt and really not much action at 15 minutes, you kind of have to question, what is she going to do later in the game?
Xie, with the cool sidestep, prevents himself from taking any burst from that Skarner-Syndra combination. The forward wards from RNG that they had attempted to place in the jungle of WE haven't cleared out as Zero. Steps forward again with the Shadow Dash. Unbreakable Will, again used by Ming as Mystic fires across. But that's exactly what Ming wants. Let me take the hit so that my carries don't have to. Xie seems to have traded with Xiaohu rather closely.
Great baiting out the Syndra ultimate. Knew he had the Shen ult, so stand with me, or stand united. Sorry.
That's the one. Magic
yeah.
Looking for Karsa, chasing down, walking into 3 before tunneling away as Zero tracks his way back down to the bottom lane. Remember, Xie is at less than half health, Xiaohu at a quarter, and still they are trading skill shots. The heal used. Was he thinking of the flash Spellflux snare?
Oh, he definitely was thinking about it. Xie is the type of player that does have a tendency to go flashy. So far playing this this matchup very well. I think a lot of it does have to come down to the Rek'Sai pressure. You could see Xiaohu not opting to take the cleanse. Really has to play very safe in lane.
We're also starting to see the difference that Regeneration making the first Ocean Dragon. Mystic over the wall. Looks for the Peacemaker. Ooh, just a bit too late. Smite secure for Karsa, equalizing these Ocean Dragons. Suddenly that extended laning phase not quite as favorable as they would want, though Karsa just trying to scare them back. Zatai actually forced to back away as Magic converts the blue buff into a top lane, but that means bottom is undefended. Cannon Barrage onto the minion wave, but immediately they target Mystic. He's pulls in and died without using a spell. Still, they chase on to Zero, who flashes away, so just a single kill for RNG, but first brick to WE.
I really like that rotation for Zatai. Knew that his top lane turret was going down, subs in for the mid lane to defend the potential trade back coming in from WE. Very easily executed. Mystic did not get to use any of his summoner spells right there, just falls down to Karsa. This is a very much needed kill for the Skarner. We talk about Skarner, we really see him as kind of a champion that needs to snowball early in the mid game with his catch potential. If it goes to the late game, champions that all they really do is run at you, that kind of doesn't really work for them in team fight scenarios. So that's a very needed boost force Skarner to get him another Righteous Glory.
Now, as things shake out, it's one turret traded for the other. First brick for WE, but they get damage both top and mid. Xie might pay here as he's pinned against the wall. Flashes away from the knockup as Zero can't quite save him in time. But still, Rift Herald picked up by Magic. Means that there is potential for another turret take in just a few minutes.
Necessary flash coming out right there from Xie because Xiaohu did have his ultimate. The question really is, how do they defend the mid lane turret at this point?
We're certainly about to find out as 957 steps forward to buy time for Xie's recall. Mystic still sitting on only the Static Shiv BF sword, already getting priority onto the red buff. 18.5 minutes in, he knows this isn't going to be a smooth and easy game, that RNG are going to fight tooth and nail.
RNG are definitely still looking for that big team fight where they can potentially catch members out from WE and kind of snowball the entire thing. So far, they don't have the gold lead, and the scaling is on the enemy team, so the onus is on themselves to make something work.
WE find the bottom lane almost completely undefended. They've still got the Rift Herald. They use it after taking the turret. Baron's not up for another 60 seconds with Xie pushing mid, though Predator is used by Karsa to try to catch up. WE completely find RNG surprised with this push. Heck, I'm surprised with this push. They're finding even a tier 2, though Zatai shouts the Herald back.
Oh, wow, that's amazing vocal cords right there.
Again. Oh, he's almost got it ready, the knockup, but still, 957 finishes it off, and Herald continues to charge. Meanwhile, a fight in the mid lane. Xie eats the unleashed power, and he's slowly being burned down, but Magic joins in. Xie still alive. They've managed to kill Zatai on the far side. He's trying to get in there. That's going to manage to tag onto Xie. He's backing away. Zero kiting it around as best he can. But this will be Magic left behind. He flashes back. Another shot from Uzi. Red buff slows. He finally goes down as Ming is forced to flash away, but Mystic has joined the fight.
How many kills can they really get here?
He's going to cut them off. Xie finally gets another. Karsa chases forward, but Xie split from his team. He's got no stopwatch. He's still got the damage. He's alive. Finally dies, but WE win the fight. 4 members for 2, soon to be 5. Ace in the hole. Ace for WE.
Massive barrel coming out there for 957, catching 3 people over the wall and really sealing the deal, chunking out so many members from RNG. And that was just weird macro play from coming out from RNG's side. The bot lane tower completely undefended, and then they go for the 3-man fight, which even though they did have a theoretical numbers advantage, they still needed Uzi to come in, and nothing really working out for them so far.
This was the team WE that started to show their fangs, the mid-game conversion. And hilariously, it was Kandi who enabled these conversions when he was previously on the roster that enabled WE to look so strong in the second half of the summer split. But Kandi's nowhere to be found. It's Magic, Zero, and Xie that are putting up some huge work here.
Let's see the 3-man again. All the damage should go down onto Xie. Try to snipe him out, but the Stand United keeping him alive. Also a heal coming in. Uzi is just really late on this rotation, and I feel like this is hesitation from the shot calling of RNG. They're not really committed to anything. They're not committed to the top lane tower. They're not committed to defense on the bot lane tower. And they also lose this mid-game fight because they're so slow on the rotation.
WE finally collapse. It looks very dangerous as Xie seems to go in alone against 4 people.
Watch this barrel over the wall coming in. Forces, actually just a 2-man, but forces the stopwatch out from Uzi and kind of gives his life up because Mystic has that trap waiting there for him.
And look at the map control that Team WE have claimed after this. 22 minutes in, 5,500 gold ahead. They control both rivers. They can allow 957 to push into this Scion on the bottom lane. And Zero is starting to clean up these wards around the Baron. RNG's game just got a whole lot scarier.
This has traditionally been the weakness of RNG, though there are a very strong individual team, a very strong skirmish team. Sometimes they make very questionable macro plays, and you kind of have to question, with new players coming in onto the roster, who is doing the shot calling, because they need to make up their minds. They can't lose on 3 places on the map at the same time.
They certainly cannot. Game 1, they managed to put their faith in Uzi, and Uzi rewarded. But this Game 2, he struggled in lane against the likes of Mystic, and now, welcome back to the LPL. Game 1 might have been a bit of a free ride, but Game 2 is certainly a lot more of a competition. And 5,000 gold ahead. WE are back to trying to control the map. The next Ocean Dragon is back up for the 3rd in a row. Magic will be able to secure that unless we get a magical snipe from Uzi.
I really like Magic's build path right here. He knows he doesn't really have a front line, so he's going for the tank items himself. And if you look at RNG, they have no way to get to Mystic. The only way they can take these team fights is to fight front to back. So with Magic picking up all these defenses, it's actually going to be very hard for that 5v5 scenario to work for RNG. And Mystic is going to have an easy time pelting people in the backline.
2.5 items nearly at that massive 3-item spike for Caitlyn. As that's a Realm Warp way into the back. Ming is ready, but it's to the Flash. He immediately turns Ace in the hole. They burn Uzi down. Welcome back. Plus a further dive onto Ming allows Magic to escape with his life. And like you said, Mystic is free firing. Look at the damage this guy is doing. 957 chucking barrels in there too.
That was very risky, but it did pay off. They didn't actually have vision of Xiaohu, nor did they really know where Karsa was. So going for that fight next to an Alistar, that seems very un-WE to me. Very, very aggressive call.
Now they turn on to the Baron. Zero on the backside used his Shadow Dash to try to prevent this vision, to try to prevent the chance for Karsa to get in. He's coming in from behind, gets through the traps, 1,800 health. Zatai over the wall, and Baron picked up by Magic. Zero gets the Shadow Dash onto Xiao. He's locked down, and another kill to WE. 9,000 gold ahead.
And it's before 25 minutes. This is traditionally when we associate Caitlyn as being kind of an empower trough. Hasn't really completed her crit items, but she's already 10k ahead. There really is not much of a way for RNG to come back into this game. Watch this again. There was a lot of possibilities for this to go very, very wrong. They didn't have vision of Xia, who didn't know where Karsa was. Look at the red side quadrant. That's actually entirely blank. So a bit of guesswork and luck coming into the play still manages to work.
And now with this Baron buff, Team WE get to show RNG the ropes. Looking for the final tier 2s in mid and top lane. Xiaohu back on the map with a Void Staff and a needlessly large rod. He needs damage and he needs it now. Uzi at 2.5 items, still no Blade of the Ring Ruined King finished.
A very poor laning phase for him. If you look right now, he's down 50 CS. Not something we usually see Uzi on. We know Uzi as the lane king. He's had the highest CSD in the last split, but right here we're seeing him being bullied out.
Whoa, what a burst from Xie. Scaring him back on the side. Karsa looking for the flank, the opportunity to race in and pick off a carry, but he does not find it as Xie and Mystic are just firing shot after shot. 957 is pushing top. He's level 16 with his Cannon Barrage and 3 items. He's happy to give it a go.
And Xie really having one of those games where he goes extremely big. This is a player that kind of has that X factor. He will show up sometimes suddenly.
Scatter the Weak prevents that Ace in the Hole from going off, but it's back off of cooldown. Predator has been used, the flash engage. They managed to target onto him, and Zero is pulled in. That's the Shadow Dash, and a huge stun in the back. Mystic still firing. He's targeting Uzi. He's found it by flashing forward. WE reposition and win that kill. Realm Warp to dive
Going
in.
straight
and
into
it's
the
only
base,
Xie
1v3.
once again knocked up, but he's still able to scare RNG back. They turn it around and are racing back to the fountain, but WE are thirsting for blood. Ace in the Hole gets another kill. 4 members for 1.
And W are going to close out the game. Only 1 member standing for RNG. That was not a very good target initiation coming in from Karsa. Picking off the support doesn't really mean anything. And you could see the flank coming in from 957. Does land the barrel and finishes with a flash and the passive from Gangplank.
And with that, WE turn on to the Nexus and even up the series. Mystic looks at Uzi and says, "You may be fearless, but you are not peerless."
such a good turn of events for WE. Picking up the Caitlyn. We've been talking about this for 2 series straight. Just pick the Caitlyn. It gives you a winning lane. Why are you shying away from it? And also this game, I think the big blunder from RNG is still their macro mistakes. Losing 3 points on the map at the same time. Not committing to anything. So maybe the shot calling is still very shaky from this team. We don't really know the comp situations. But WE able to punish. Mr. Big Shot in 0 coming in for them.
Huge confidence boost morale to the team as they just turn around and show us something completely different in Game 2. And RNG, they might just be a little bit shaken in this Game 3 as they have to prepare, no longer laughing and smiling. I think it's time for business, Clement.
Definitely. That 0 attitude, like 0 given, is
yeah.
really refreshing to see from WE. A lot of their plays had a lot of risk associated into them. They were fighting an RNG composition that was good into the skirmishes, that was good into the catches, but they were still willing to take them with that Shen stand united. And you could see it really pay off. That blind Realm Warp and Shen ult in front of an Alistar with no vision on Karsa and Xiaohu, that gave me cold sweats. I was like, I'm not sure this is a good idea. Oh, okay, it worked.
Yeah, I still have no idea how he managed to avoid the knockup from Ming, because that was almost frame perfect how he got out of that. But like you said, the confidence from WE to swing forward. Xie, we've been mentioning that he's been playing up. The weakness for WE has been in the bottom lane, but Mystic with a new support, Xie with the likes of Zero alongside him, even Magic showing huge confidence in the jungle. This match just got a lot more entertaining.
And it's more exciting when teams are willing to go head-to-head in terms of execution. Those plays we saw from Zero, those were plays that said, I'm going to best you and just pure mechanics. And they made it work. There was a lot of risk involved, but it paid off.
Yeah, well, now it's up to our analysts to break down what exactly that risk was and how it worked out for them. It's all yours.
Well, WA were definitely able to put up a defense in game number 2. Bringing in Zero, what a difference that made. We were talking about it before we went into the game. The veteran comes in and performs.
Yeah, shocker what a good support will really bring to that 2v2. They didn't get dominated. And yeah, matchup was a part of it, but Celestial just looked really out of his element, taking a lot of bad trades. You put Zero in suddenly, and I think there was maybe 1 or 2 bad trades that Zero possibly made, and he just did it to extend the lane phase because they didn't want to back on the cannon wave. So even then, you can argue that Zero just had a perfect lane phase alongside Mystic.
And a lot of it does come down to the draft, right? They pick a Shen for Zero. They don't just put Zero in, they put him on Shen, a champion that can be anywhere around the map, and they have a Caitlyn with that, and that's the other place that you'd be looking at, you know, like a winning 2v2. God forbid WE actually did it, and Caitlyn for Mystic is always fantastic. Caitlyn Shen with Zero there, suddenly even better. WE just looked immaculate.
Clement was really excited about that Caitlyn pick when it got locked in during the draft. I mean, you should be if you're a Team WE fan, especially. However, Skarner was locked in for the side of RNG. First Skarner in the LPL. Fortunately, a loss for Karsa.
Yeah, which means welcome to the LPL officially, Karsa. You have now done what every LPL jungler has managed to do, which is lose on Skarner. Just not a champion that really works for us. And Karsa did have some cool plays, so it was the Predator Skarner that we've been seeing globally. Naturally, you just have that movement speed. You come flying out of the bushwork, grab someone, and he had some cute, flashes over taunts and grabs, but just wasn't enough.
I mean, we have a few highlights from RNG, especially because they started off the game nice and strong. They looked okay. It was fairly even between Team WE. They were trying to execute this cute team composition with the Skarner. Just wasn't enough at the end of the game.
Yeah, and the thing with this fight that you're seeing now is, like, again, really good opportunities to make these plays, but RNG, whilst they're making great ideas and really cool options, again, the stopwatch was super clutch from Xiaohu, he still dies. He's still playing Syndra and has nothing left to provide to the team, even when he dodges spells. Zatai isn't looking very good on Sion as well, respectively, throughout all of this, and ultimately you're like, okay, it's pretty good from RNG at the start. This is the most unfortunate thing you'll ever see in League of Legends if you're a Rise player. But ultimately, WE aren't losing crazy amounts for it. Look at how much goes into just killing Xie and how long that takes to do.
Well, he got his just desserts, jumping right behind Uzi, flashing away from Ming to pick up this stellar kill.
And it's the fact of how tanky Xie is at this point in the game. So much was expended so many times to try to kill him, and it just takes too long. Now, the thing is the game plan was constantly ganking around the Cinder lane, which makes sense. You've got the medium range stun against a medium range mage in Rise, so you do have kill pressure there. Yeah. But the the issue is you've got one global ultimate in the GP in the top lane, you've got another global ultimate in the Stan United in the bottom lane, and so RNG had to change up their strategy. They kept ganking mid, like, okay, this isn't working, let's go and gank the Shin so that way he can't disrupt our plays, but in how long it took them to execute on that, Team WE got the top tower, they got the Rift Herald, they set up for the bottom tower, and then boom, suddenly mid is broken.
And that's why we take this all the way back to draft. Shen was the difference here, because they're running a Syndra Skarner. They need to kill the Ryze before he gets an Abyssal Mask and becomes tanky. Shen circumvents that, so even when they start moving down to the Shen, Ryze then has the Abyssal Mask, he's too tanky to kill. You get to the mid-game fight, Syndra was completely irrelevant, was just a stun bot, but if she's not doing damage, no one's doing damage, so WE just win.
And then it's also the hypermobility of the Ryze on top of that. So you have all of those free tanking stats, you have 2 global ultimates, and then you have Ryze who's suddenly, you know, 2 towers deep behind Uzi just picking up kills because he has the freedom to do so with his itemization.
And it was a stellar performance coming out from C as well. He picks up MVP in game number 2 for Team WE, turning things around, and now we have a series on the hand. It looked like a complete wash when RNG showed up in game 1.
And we used to say this about Uzi, you know, he'll give you a game here and there. He's a good enough player that he'll just give you a victory, and we're starting to see this more and more from Xie for the mid lane of Team WE. He is having a fantastic split, pretty much by himself, individual performance, and he's cropping up to be one of the best talents still, and even better than what we saw at Worlds.
And it's also the fact that Team WE finally actually drafted a composition that works, so it doesn't just flat out lose. They wouldn't put it at a disadvantage from the draft phase, and so now that I know that they can do this, there is no more excuses. If I see another bad draft from WE, I'm just gonna lose it.
You tell me that CA wins you a game. He's picked up 7 MVPs. That's the amount of matches that they've won so far this split in the LPL. We're going to go into a quick break. We'll be back with the decider of game number 3 in just a bit.